It has been a few months since we took a look at my Wealthsimple TFSA. Holy banana bread, let's do this! There has been a few changes as I've done at least one small rebalance to get a foothold in the natural resources sector. Of course, if you want to know every buy and sell I do post that for the community members as one of the perks for channel membership. Before we pull back the curtains on my TFSA, tell me in the comments if you have a foothold into natural resources. I am always grateful when you drop in on the home of free financial content on YouTube. While you are here, please like and subscribe as you don't want to miss a single moment, and a huge thank you for that. Click! My TFSA currently sits in Wealthsimple, and today's screenshots are coming from their desktop app opposed to the mobile one I used last time. Starting off, I have a balance of $65,653.07 in my Canadian TFSA and $3,897.53 USD in my USD TFSA. Adding that all up into Canadian, we have a total of $70,994.58. I have not been adding any money to my TFSA other than money generated within, such as, like dividends. A big part of the reason for that is that I am pretty darn close to my contribution limit. We will, though, all be gaining an extra $6,500 in new contribution room on, January 1st. Kicking off my TFSA, we have BCE Inc. with a ticker of BCE. I do hold 50 shares of Bell for a 4.46% stake in my TFSA. Up next, we have Canadian Bancorp with a ticker of BK. This is one of my dividend plays with a current yield of 15.78%. I hold 90 shares for a 1.69 stake in my TFSA. The Purpose Bitcoin Yield ETF with a ticker of BTCY comes in next. Another dividend play with a yield of 25.58%. This is one I do watch, especially with the current crypto instability. They do falter, but their yield is still better than most when that does happen. I currently have 900 shares for 3.41% stake in my TFSA. Up next, we have Canadian National Railway with a ticker of CNR. I have 25 shares for a stake of 5.99% in my Wealthsimple TFSA. No secret that I love this stock quite a bit. Canadian Western Bank with a ticker of CWB comes in next. I have 119 shares for a 4.11% stake. These guys have been struggling lately, but I'm still bullish on them long term. Up next, we have Diversified Royalty, or by their ticker, DIV. They are another dividend play with a yield of 7.27%. I hold 1,219 shares for a 5.26% stake in my TFSA. That, of course, takes us to Dollarama with a ticker of DOL. I hold 35 shares for a 4.07% stake in my TFSA. They have really turned out to be a pretty good recession-proof stock. That takes us to my biggest holding, which is Canoe EIT Income Fund with a ticker of EIT.UN. I hold 500 shares for a total stake of 9.67% of my TFSA. They are a dividend play as well as a growth play. Their yield is currently sitting at 8.72%. They are still in the green in my portfolio, and I expect to see much better growth once we move into the bull market. Up next, we have eSplit Core with a ticker of ENS. This is a dividend play with a yield of 10.28%, and there is growth potential here as their fate is tied to Enbridge. I hold 210 shares for a 4.49% stake. Fortis comes in next with a ticker of FTS. This was the first stock I ever bought, and I currently hold 70 shares for a 5.43% stake in my portfolio. We have the Hamilton Enhanced Multi-Sector Covered Call ETF with their ticker of HDIV. They are a dividend play with a yield of 9.33%. I currently hold 218 shares for a 4.89% stake in my portfolio. Sticking with those ETFs, we have the Harvest Equal Weight Global's Utilities ETF with a ticker of HUTL. They have a yield of 8%, so a dividend play. I hold 200 shares for a stake of 4.99%. We have once again another ETF with the Hamilton Enhanced US Covered Call ETF. They are a big dividend play with a yield of 11.51%. I hold 286 shares for a 4.89% stake. Up next, we have Power Core of Canada with a ticker of POW. I hold 50 shares for a 2.33% stake in my TFSA. These guys are the majority investor for Wealthsimple, so I guess I kind of have to love them. Coming up next, we have Pizza Royalty Corp with a ticker of PZA. TFSA. They have a 5.77% dividend yield and a solid growth potential, so they are not too shabby. I hold 253 shares for a 4.86% stake. So Late Grocery REIT comes in next with a ticker of SGR.UN. I hold 225 shares for a 5.07% stake. This stock has a decent yield of 5.79%, and they have been seeing some pretty good growth lately. Up next, we have Sir Royalty Income Fund with a ticker of SRV.UN. I hold 140 shares for a 5.58% stake. They have pretty good dividends with a yield of 6.61%. In addition to that, in my portfolio, they are up 21.39%. Holy banana bread, that's not too bad. That takes us to Timber Creek Financial with a ticker of TF. They are a dividend player with a yield of 9.11%. However, their payout ratio is currently pushing above 100%, so I do have my eye on them. I currently hold 400 shares for a 4.27% stake. Up next is a newcomer in Turquoise Hill Resources with a ticker of TRQ. This is that initial exposure I wanted to get into the resource sector. I bought in with 50 shares for an initial stake of 3.03%. I have high hopes for the resource sector in 2023. The last of my Canadian stocks is XEG, which is the BlackRock Canada iShares S&P TSX Capped Energy Index ETF. I have loved this little ETF for a while now. I currently hold 186 shares for a 2.99% stake. I have 4 stocks in my USD Wealthsimple TFSA. The first is Alphabet with ticker GOOG. I hold 10 shares of Google for a 1.80% stake in my TFSA. This is a stock I expect to rebound a lot in the bull market. Next, I have an ETF in the iShares Trust US Financials ETF with a ticker of IYF. I have 11 shares for a 1.62% stake in my TFSA. That takes us to Microsoft with ticker MSFT. They will do well in the bull market as well. They are also my fractional target in my USD TFSA with 4.3225 shares for a stake of 2.05%. My final stock is Union Pacific with a ticker of UNP. I did scale this one down a wee bit with a lot of the issues that were falling on the US rail companies. I currently hold 5 shares for a 2.04% stake in my TFSA. So there you have it. I don't have a lot of plan changes going into the new year, but the allocations of dividends may be a little more strategic as I see who is poised to do well in 2023. The fun does not have to end here. Check out my video on the Santa rally that I will link on the left. Otherwise, check out the video on the right that YouTube thinks you will like. Your click will decide who is right, and I will see you in the next video.